Hello and welcome as today's date comes in that of Wednesday, the 13th day of November 2019. All bets, trades, and of the like, well, that's within each's own risk and their own reward. Let's look at history. Ripple. I'm focusing on situations in which it went up. And we're looking at the weekly term to start. Number one was this. Price action going from 11 to 91. Then we have this one from the low of almost, I thought it was 3. It's not yet. I thought 3, then I thought 23. Yeah, that's what it is. It's supposed to say 23, but realistically even 26, 27, up to 8,000. Now, what I can do on this, and I will, is look at the daily chart. And even if you got the availability, 8 hour, 3 hour, 6 hour, whatever, how long did you have to take advantage of this move? And then if you missed the first one, oh, you got the second on this one. I guess 2 moves for this move. So one with this correction. So this move went from originally like 400 and 500, 600 up to 6,000. And then down to like close to 2. So almost a 3x loss, but much greater than 50% decline or a 2x decline. And then from 25 and as well from the bottom of even 500, but from the 25 up to 22,000. Significant decline. I'm not going to count this, but even when you're ratio trading, doing different things, you know what? That can work out. I mean, nothing great, but just a small trade. That's all it is. Just one extra move. However, the big move in here. So we've had 1, 2. I don't know how good this one was. You had to be quick for that. Really 3, and now 4. And it means sell, 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 sell. Oh, no more selling. Something like that. I'm not going to try to pick the top on here, but I'm not going to be like, oh, we're at 7,300. I'm going to be waiting to go over 20,000. No, I don't know where the top's going to be. Although I would have been saying expect resistance below this high, and it would have happened. And then we have whatever move here. Yeah, I'm not going to count that. That's the same as this. But then we have this one in here. And I would have said potentially we go back. This is the level of resistance, which it didn't go anywhere near. The move was from 4,200 up to over 10,000, better than a 10x move. And then along the way, that's the last one we've had was this one here. And this one occurred September of last year or about 14 months ago. This move in itself was still going from 64 back up to 11, but I don't really want to count that. I would have been like, okay, first we got this level of resistance, our must hold areas around here. Well, it didn't hold it. And this later occurred. And when did all these moves happen? This move happened, but it was below the 18 lows. This happened below the 18 lows. And I'm just going to remove this drawing. And then I'm going to even look back at some of the other stuff. But obviously, this was going below the 18 lows when it happened. This was below the 18 lows. And this was just at the start. So let's go back and see the original move on the daily chart, how much time you had. I mean, that just might be a little blimp in the radar, it looks like here. And I see this on the daily. That tells me that was just like a one major buy. I guess let's see if I have access to the 3. So I'll just scroll all maximum periods, then move to the left, let it load, bring it in. I don't even know if we'll go back this far. I mean, I'm doing 1/8 of a daily term time frame. We're in. And I'll just keep waiting April. So 2016. So this is just one of those blimp moves as it comes down to it. But if you have orders in, I mean, only price pays. But that's it. The only way you really would have had opportunity for this is either A, the orders, and maybe this was a 20, 30, 40-minute move, and I'm not going to check that, nor do I think I have the availability for that anyway. Because if I go 50-minute, they might only let me go back maybe a couple of years or however long. Maybe even not even that. But anyway, that's Ripple. When looking at this via the dollar, we can see that we had this move, this very long consolidation period in here. What does this remind me of? Okay, so anyway, within this, it was at half a cent, and then it went up to like 35, down to 13. Up to $3 and change, now at 27 cents. I mean, the volatility is the nature of this game. Bankers own this coin, and I wouldn't be surprised if this thing gets pumped rather than dumped. It might get dumped before it gets pumped, though. So be it. I'll just keep trading. If it comes down in here, and then it does whatever, and then stuff like that, that wouldn't surprise me given the nature of the volatility. Like, I'm looking for the destination, not really trying to predict, but just react to the journey. And the journey, of course, is the shorter term moves, the intermediate term moves along the way. And here we have Theta against Bitcoin. And I talked big about its volatility, and it hasn't been any. I mean, when we look at the volatility now compared to where it was, one, you had the intraday single day move on November 30th, and then you had the multi-day and week move that even got a better high, not holding and staying into this area. And maybe this will result in a move. And I've been waiting for this for a while, actually. If it happens, I don't know. But I've been waiting for this area around here to be its next level. If, of course, it's going to break down, and I'll just react to that journey towards a destination, which I think is going to be very, very good. But these moves that happen fast, it's almost like a global thing. And I'm not trying to predict when they happen, and just react to if and when they do. I realize that the trading that I do, if markets go down as they do, I can gain and still lose. And, well, if I were to trade this with Theta and Ripple since day one on Binance, and depending on how you do it, you're probably ahead in coins but down in dollar value. In fact, I actually did do such. Let me bring the ratio of Theta and Bitcoin across. And we can see that from the start, it's at the same price. So whenever you have a situation where you have the market do all this type of stuff, you're going to be winning, at least in the amount of coins that you own. I used the 3-hour term time frame. I know I got the daily up, but I used the 3. And I trade it basically like a computer, except for I decided position sizing in like 15 minutes of time. And on May 29th, the ratio was 317 back in here when it started up there. So at that point, I started with 1,000 XRP 3170. And that's generally how I like to start ratios. Exact same value for each one. However, how much you start off with, of course, that's your decision. At the time, the Bitcoin price was 8,029 Satoshi, and the US dollar price was 60 cents. And then for Theta, as seen below. So I'm playing it like a computer, only playing when a 25% moves happens, which is, well, if the ratio is 317 to start, I'm going to wait for, well, 25% move up is 1.25. That's 3.17. On the downside, to calculate, I do 100 divided by, well, 100 plus its number, which is 125, or 0.8 in this example. And what we would have here is, well, either wait for it to go up to 396.3 or 253.6 and take the number you get. So there's no orders in. It's just at the end of every 3 hours, okay, are we above or below? And most of the time it's no. But when it's yes, okay, then I'm going to make a trade. Now, when we look at the moves that occurred, there's situations in which you have big moves and multiple moves. And I want to talk about both of them amongst this exercise. Now, the big moves really occurred on November 30th. That's when you have like a move well greater than 25%. It worked out to a 50% move. Or 100% move, I think it might have been. And then, this in here, multiple moves. This is the most amount of orders traded in one time was 5. Let's take a look at let's take a look at how I traded it. All right then, let's make this a little bit bigger. And I got the dates on the left-hand side, which would have been when the trade would have taken place. And we're really going to see how low volatile our time right now is when we take a look at this. But starting on this, the first ratio trade would have occurred with the price going down to 248. Now, generally speaking, I'm doing around a quarter trades if I can, unless something else happens. And we can see most of these moves. Now, how did this hit 21? Anyway, well, I'll just throw that aside because it wouldn't make much of a difference overall. But with that being said, that was odd. 50, yeah, that's about 20%. 20 bucks out, right? Anyway, I don't know how I wrote that wrong because in my formula I have it set to automatically do it, and obviously it worked pristine all the other ways through. But anyway, don't know why this one didn't work. Maybe I wrote the number in wrong, so it should have been 330. I don't remember. With that being said, on every single time, I got color-coded so that the ones that were sold in black added in purple. So a lot of times it's selling a quarter of what I own. Now, then you have situations of decent-sized moves here. I guess this is why I said 50% because the first decent one was 50. And this was a spot of selling Ripple. So I owned 892. A quarter of that, well, 10% is 90-ish. A little more would be that, but 90, double that to 180, take half of that of 90, which is 45. So I look at like 220, 230. But since it was a bigger move, I wanted to sell a larger size. That's the things I'm looking for. And then in here, here's that 100% move. That's on the 11:30 date, although it did start on 11:29. And within it, this was where the ratio went from that of, where's the number in here? I did this wrong. I gotta redo it now. I was wondering why results were so bad, actually. This is the 100% move here. Oh, no wonder my results sucked. Okay, I'll do it later. Well, as it went with these results, anyway. And my whole point was saying, and I'll just say it anyway, because even if this was a small winner, that's one of the results. Some of the results are you lose, especially because THETA and Ripple. They've been down a decent amount since the now to then, and that's been a lot of other coins have done worse. So that's another way of putting it. And I'll show you the levels. But let's look at the dates on here because I do want to talk about that because I do find that important. So look at how long it takes for a 25% move to play it. So May 30th, and then you go to June the 9th. So that's under a week. And then you got a couple weeks, not quite later, you have another ratio trade. A half a week later again. And then you go over a month, 625 to 731, a month and a week. So you have a small period of not many trades. And then you almost go another month going to August 23rd. Almost another month. Basically a three to 4 week periods are now going. 4 weeks, not quite a month. But then it gets busy, 918, 920, 921, 921. So a lot of stuff happened here on September the 21st. And then, that was supposed to be September 30th. Let me go to my raw data. I'm thinking that was September 30th. I just wrote it in wrong. Anyway, the whole point is you can have 3 periods in a row where a lot of things could just happen like this. And then we got October 10th, which represents about 3 weeks. October 6th. Now we got 4 weeks, almost a month. Couple weeks later, week and a half later. Okay, no, this is no, never mind. This is correct. So September 20th is different than November. I was thinking the 30th, but 9 and 11 was what I'm thinking. So most likely the 9/20/21 is correct. So that's another period where before we had a lot of volatility on this, and you take advantage of those days they come in. Well, obviously this is another spot in here because 10 days after this one, we have a trade the next day, which really was hours later, and then hours later, and then 2 days later from November 30th to December 2nd, 4 days later. So there's your period of decent sized volatility, but you have to wait now over a month and a half. Oh, that's not the longest. The longest is right in here. We'll get to that in order though. And then we got 205 to 214, 214 to 226. We're going a couple weeks at a time, almost a week. Oh, not so bad. But this was part of the movement at the end of the year where altcoins did very good from the start of the year up until April the 1st. And then April 2nd, or 8th to 16th, 24th, so some decent volatility. A little bit of a wait, not that bad, normal to go 3-4 weeks without a trade, which would happen from April 24th to May 13th. then May 18th to 13th, 622 to 18, and then there we go. Now that's not my trades, that's just what I did in this example. But as we can see here, you go from 622 to 930. All of July, all of August, and really all of September. That was 3+ months without a trade. And not only that, that was September 30th as the last time. Here we are on November the 13th waiting for the next one. So already at a month and a half. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I have done since this entire lackluster time when the ratio didn't do much. Now I might have missed out on an opportunity, but anyway, this is what I've done. So I've been able to have 28 ratio trades, of course at lower percentage numbers, and a lot of the reasons why I've been taking these 8, 9, 10% numbers, and I've even stopped taking the 8, 9% numbers recently, as we can see in here, that I've been really reflecting on that 10 number. Whether that's correct or not, we'll see, but these are, well, the dates on the left-hand side. If the ratio went up, I sold Ripple. And I bought Theta, and if it went down, I end up selling Theta, buying that of Ripple back. It's only a really good percentage move that came out that was better than I expected was on July the 16th when I got a 20% move. And that was about it. I got a 13.81 here, but even then, that's just meh. And let's move on to ratio trading on the Litecoin Komodo. I'm waiting to get a move in. I still haven't got it. I'm just going to show you my last trade in here. I got to find it. It's like 90 though. It's like way down in here. Let me just get the exact number. It's 80. I remember it wasn't that long ago that I did it. It would have been probably on November the 9th, my last ratio trade. Got 80. Well, the differential now, 16 points. Brings it to 80 at 64. So it's noticeably well over 20% at this stage. But the wallets for me are offline. Interestingly, price action is at an area of multiple level of support. What I'm hoping happens is maybe in a day, 2 or 3, the wallets go back online, the ratio somewhere lower than here. And maybe even better, maybe it's somewhere around here. Maybe Komodo goes up to surprisingly like $15, $20. And no, I don't think that's going to happen. But that would be cool for me if it did. And I would have to react to a situation of that nature. I would most likely sell close to 80, 90% of what I own. No, if that happened. Now, of course, if this happens in here, we're now talking about 20%-ish or so right now, 15%. If it goes down here, that number will just increase higher and higher. And that's because Komodo is doing this. How much higher it'll go. And this is happening with offline wallets on Binance. For if I were to take a look at the ratio of Komodo and Komodo, between the two biggest exchanges, at least the only two that I know of. At least the only two I got accounts with anyway. 9% differential. Wow, okay. It'll be interesting to see which catches up to which. Meaning, well, let's just assume the wallets come back online soon, like day 2 or 3. Will this fall back down before the wallets come back, and then, well, we have a little bit of a price direct correction? Or will this go down because Bittrex will match up? If the wallets were to just be literally online right now, it would happen instantly. Meaning, if the wallets on Binance were just available, well, now the play is to send your Komodo over to Binance. I guess you'd have to wait like about 30 minutes, I think, for Komodo. I'm not a big fan of its long wait, but it's not that bad. And then you just sell and you buy. You sell on Binance and you would buy on Bittrex, or even better yet, you would buy it on Bittrex, and then that's where you're going to get your Komodo from. You can just buy it on Bittrex, move it to Binance, and maybe you buy on Bittrex, send it to a private wallet, then you send it to a private wallet to Binance, depending on your preference. And then you sell it because you know the wallet's back online. And of course, now realistically, that probably would happen. You would see a combination of the two happen. And in a true arbitrage form, if it was available and a high-tech player were to come in here with this 10% ratio, that's just huge profit, of course. But that means you would be aggressively selling down on Binance and aggressively buying up on Bittrex, that you would literally let the ratios meet in a form something like this. And I'm not saying the ratio would go to 105. I'm saying the price action on Bittrex would go up and on Binance would go down till they meet clear to the pretty much the same number, and thus this market will go back to doing this again. Okay, now my sports pick. It's on the more information box, so you already knew it was coming, and maybe you fast forwarded to the pick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to state the pick, and then I'm going to then for those who just fast forward to the very end, give them the wrong pick. All right then. So let's bring it up. It's this game here. Toronto Maple Leafs in New York to face off with the New York Hockey Islanders. I don't like saying that, although I did, so I just whatever. Toronto comes into the game with a record of 9-6-2-2. Well, I mean, a win's a win. I am like, what the heck? Why do you do this? I mean, you did it from the start, and I'm talking like everyone, like Sportsnet and ESPN and TSN and all the sites. Why do you do that? You have first code win, second code loss, overtime loss, and then shootout loss. So overtime and shootout losses get their own category, but shootout and overtime wins don't. Toronto comes into the game with a record of 9-10. You have to add three numbers together. That's just how it goes. 3-4 on the road, 7-12 on the puck line, although I don't put too much preference on puck line stats. Last 10, Toronto's 4-6. Nor do I give much preference to over-under because of the number. I mean, really there should be more pushes on the 5 and 6. And I guess if the number's around -120, -130, then I would. So maybe I should actually. Islanders come into the game with a record of 12 wins and 4 losses. And on the puck line, we are going with a 10-6 record. However, last 10, 9-1. So before that, the Islanders were 3-3, and since then, they're 9-1. Okay. And they didn't lose that game in regulation either. Damn, they're hot. And damn, the Leafs are not. The Leafs are coming off a loss on Sunday night with former backup goalie Chad Hutchinson in net. They have recently released him, but that doesn't mean anything because it'll be Frederik Andersen 99.899 or 99.9% of the time, if not higher. Because the only way he doesn't play is if something like he get some sort of freak accident happens. Knock on wood. Of course, that's not going to happen. So you know Freddie Anderson's going to play. I don't see why Varlamov wouldn't. But -115. This is a way of Vegas saying that the Islanders got like a 51% chance of winning at home against an inferior, formerly superior Toronto Maple Leafs team. I don't know if this means much, but the general manager of the New York Islanders is the former general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs as early back as 2 seasons ago. So this is the second season as the Islander GM. A couple key players did cross over from the Maple Leafs. Matt Martin, I think, might have been one of them. I think there's another one as well, but I don't think that means much either as well. However, it might mean a little bit like, hey, this is the team that we want to beat. So maybe it might give them a reason, A, to be motivated, but heck, they're kicking ass right now. Or more importantly, not to be not motivated. As some people say, oh, well, they show up for the game. I really don't think that should be much of a question tonight. I think both teams will show up. Although the Leafs haven't been that superior this season. And now they're going to be without one of their top 2-3 star forwards, if not their top forward. That's arguable because they're 3 evenly matched players. But Mitch Marner is out, not only for tonight, but for the next month. Whether they get Zach Hyman back tonight or not, I don't think that really matters too much. I mean, why is it only -115? I think the play is the Islanders and play them money. I think the puck line would be the way to go and take a superior price. Let's see what happens. As the New York Islanders, well, they are a better team. And the minus 115 line. And you're going to get a puck line at like plus, oh my goodness, that's going to be plus 250 or something. It's going to be a very, very good price. And I like the puck lines, especially at home. They're at home. Especially against teams of higher scoring caliber games. Toronto, I think, would most certainly reflect that statistics. Their defense is not that good at all. And it hasn't been good since... 1967 they won the Stanley Cup. I shouldn't say too much. 93 to 2002, 2003 they were pretty good. But they did win the Stanley Cup in 1967, as well as 66, 65, and about a dozen or so other times, or 10 other times. They've won it about a little over a dozen times. I think 13 times. And my memory used to be 100% accurate. Now I'm about 95% accurate on that number. All right, now on for my selection. I'm not going to give you really any analysis or too much more analysis. I've already went over it. It's really not too important anyway. But let's go ahead and play the spread. That's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to lay a goal and a half tonight, and we'll see how it goes. Thank you for tuning in to the video, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.